need something to uplift them in the particular aspect, especially when we talk about the black woman. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm trying to say here is one of her upliftment is subtle things. One thing she needs to do is that she needs to start, because we got a lot of sisters, especially in the conscious community, they think when they get conscious, the first thing they want to do is they want to stop dressing. They want to stop looking good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They start looking like a ragamuffin.
Mm-hmm. Get fat. They becoming obese.
And all, but even if they were fat, there's a way that you can put on some stuff, because you know you got men that like fat men.
No.
Or even wherever you are right now, you need to make sure you look good about yourself. This is a psychological thing. It's not necessarily just to appease the man. You need to find whatever it is to make yourself beautiful for yourself.
For yourself.
So psychologically, it can raise you up.
Exactly.
See, psychologically, this is part of this attack that we're talking about here, the psychological attack.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So we need to do that. Now, this is by no means to say that this is a superiority move for the women to basically marginalize men and look down on them. That's not what we're talking about here.
No.
You see what I'm saying? That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about setting yourself up to a standard that you will love yourself and demand that a man loves you also on that standard that you set for yourself. But you got to do whatever it takes to start feeling good about yourself. And you can't wallow in self-pity. And the first thing that goes is your looks. And I don't care what nobody say. For some reason, we thinking that a person, when they put on nice jewelry and put on the beautiful shoes and paint their toenails and the thing, somehow we have gotten this in his head that this is not African.
Mm-hmm.
And it is.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? The origin of the ballroom gown that you see these rich white women on Capitol Hill with these dignitaries, these ballroom gowns, that ballroom gown. I was in a museum last year in 2004, and I saw an Egyptian dress that was the prototype of the ballroom gown. What I'm trying to say here is looking good is African.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about materialism. What we're talking about here is something that can invoke a form of a self-esteem, a high self-esteem. You see, so that's what we want to deal with at this particular time. You see, but I just want to comment on his shirt. And also, next, I guess you'll see me in front of the camera. Peace.
Peace, my brothers and sisters. Again, this is Brother TJ. And now the man in the golden chair. No, it's not Michael Eric Dyson, and it's not Al Sharpton. It is the one from the ATL, and we're down here in Richmond, Virginia, in a beautiful country setting at a bed and breakfast where we just had dinner. But no one other than Bobby Hemmitt. It brings me pleasure to bring Bobby Hemmitt to me. Bobby, welcome to Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia, and by way of D.C., because we came from D.C. And also, we a few hours ago, we was down by the White House in the Capitol. And now we're here in Richmond. And it's interesting here because come to find out that Richmond had a decisive part in the Civil War, and come to find out that the black Civil War soldiers, I just learned this today from Sister Lockme, was actually fought and won
by the brothers.
By the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and won Richmond by the brothers and stuff like that. And so that's very interesting. So that's a part of a history that we, it's interesting how when I first came here about two years ago, it was so spiritual, the energy, and I never would have thought it would have been that way. So it's good to be here. But we're just going to kick it around a little bit, and we're going to be talking about mostly the attack. First thing I want to do to start things off is I want to make this particular thing very clear. I was talking to Dr. Richard King about a month ago on a phone conversation, and he has a new book out. Him, Dr. Ann Brown from New York,
mm-hmm.
and there's a brother named T. Owens Moore.
Okay.
That did a couple of books on melanin. And they got a book together, Why Melanin Matters. And so Richard King was saying about, I think he called it the nucleocerealis. It's a part of the melanin that he says that they've done studies, and this particular part of the melanin deals with fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Hollywood and the government knows this, and this is the reason why they've been killing us off in movies since the 1950s. They was killing us off in movies when they didn't even have blacks in movies.
Mm-hmm.
And remember the guy that your boy, the Sweetback Badass song. What's it? Melvin Van Peebles said that when they first showed his movie, I think it was in Chicago or something, and they aired it, and he said it was a, and you know, because this was the prototype of what which would later become the black exploitation flicks.
Mm-hmm.
But he said when when they showed the movie that first night in Chicago to see how the black audience would take it.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was an older woman in the crowd sitting near the front, and the older woman said, "Oh Lord," when he was running, I think he was running from the cops or running from, you know, running. He did a lot of running in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the older woman said, "Oh Lord, please don't kill him." Because up to then, she had been seeing a couple of black people getting killed in movies. Even Sidney Poitier got killed in a movie where the guy stabbed him in the back with a fishing hook in the 1950s, a black and white movie.
Okay.
And the point what I'm trying to make here is we got to put a stop to, well, I know it's not going to happen, but we need to choose not to watch movies where we die all the time. Because, like Richard King is saying, if the melanin is affected by the fear, then that stuff is going into our psyche and into our melanated brain. Now, let me give you an example now, because like I said, in the first when I saw Enter the Dragon, and I knew this was a Enter the Dragon, and it came out later. Enter the Dragon came out fall '73, and I thought it affected me because I was a little younger when the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw the movie again when I was 30.
Okay.
And I still was affected by the killing of Jim Kelly. Not only did they kill him, they put the brother's death on the movie poster, and that movie poster is shown to this day when you pick up the video or the DVD.
Mm-hmm.
The point I'm trying to make here is these things are attacks. An attack a lot of times don't necessarily have to be the tanks rolling down the street. An attack can be psychological. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It can be psychological. Let me give you another example. How I was affected the same way in 1990 when Spike Lee came out with Mo Better Blues.
Mm-hmm.
I love the character. I love Denzel's character. I love the jazz artist. I was glad that they put a film together about jazz artists because we've been rich in history with that.
Mm-hmm.
I like the whole crew. I like the whole setup. But whenever he made the decision for the guy to take the horn and hit him in the face and destroy his and mess his lip up,
right,
and destroy his career, the next morning I woke up and I saw the movie. I was affected by it and stuff. I said, you know what? I didn't like that. I didn't like that. And I said, we shouldn't take these blueprints from Europeans who love to see that kind of tragedy. Because we got to understand something here. These are our heroes.
right,
And our heroes are heroes should have, you see, they shouldn't be damaged on that particular level, and especially when the European is doing it to us. Like I said, every sci-fi movie, you know what I'm saying, and every time we look up, they cast black members in these movies to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and so my point here is we gotta choose now to stop going to these movies. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where they're getting killed. The other thing here is this whole gotta wear the dress. The black actor got to somehow wear the dress.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
or play some kind of feminine
right
role or
now,
some feminine character.
exactly. Now, give you an example.
Tyler Perry.
And this ain't got nothing to do with no gay community, because I'm gonna tell you something. The white gay community is in on it too, because hell, that's all doggone Hollywood is. It's white gay community. But whenever they want to see, it's interesting how they do things. Whenever they want to push the envelope, they'll get a black person to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So Soon as Dennis Rodman put on the dress, he got a TV show.
Right.
Back in the 90s. And soon as we knew about a RuPaul, next thing you know, this brother got his TV show. And we got several people can't get a TV show. We got the black woman that's forced out of Hollywood now. You see what I'm saying? They got the TV show. Now let me give you an example of what happened here. As we know that Dave Chappelle came on Oprah and he talked about how he had heard this conspiracy on how they had to wear the dress, and how he went on a movie set with Martin Lawrence, and he was appearing in a movie with Martin Lawrence, and he got in his trailer and they had a dress hanging up, and he said, you know what why I got to wear this dress? He said, I've heard about these stories about, you know, why I got, you know, about the black actors. In order to cement your place in Hollywood, you got to do something, either something derogatory or something about getting killed, you wear the dress and basically getting shot in the behind. That's the other one. But he said, why I got to wear the dress? So he said, I'm not wearing it. And they didn't, and the director said, no, you got to do this and all. We paid a lot of money for the scene, blah, blah, blah. He said, I'm not. He said, it went on by 15 minutes. He said, and then the producer came in and they went on. He said, I ain't wearing the dress. He said, in 15 minutes, they walked out and came back 15 minutes later with another script. It was almost like they said they had a script that was written already where you didn't have to wear the dress, but they put this in here, you see what I'm saying? As a thing that they do to black people.
Right.
Because a lot of times when they make these movies, a lot of times these movies are written for white people, and then they figure based on the demographics they can make more money by getting that black element in, because they figure it will fail and go to video with some white if it's not strong enough for the white artist. So they put the black people in, and it's $1 million movie.
Right.
I mean, a million people sell make up so many millions on the first weekend. You see what I'm saying? Now, the key here is, I got a call from a brother Shabazz in New York 2 or 3 days after it aired on Oprah. Anubaresh. And he told me, he said, remember, we had did a lecture in New York. I had done a lecture in Brooklyn in the summer of 2003 at a place called the Brown Chocolate Cafe. I said, I remember the lecture. He said, remember we invited all the rappers, and they was coming to the lecture because he's good friends with all these rappers. RZA, I think Nas was coming, and a bunch of them. Even Dougie Fresh.
Right.
And he said they was coming, but somebody missed and put that the rappers was going to show up on the flyer. And he said, then they called and said, yo, we can't do this. We can't come now because, you know, our agents, they look out and they find out that they tell us that we can't go to certain events. So they put a dent in that since that conscious rap. And it's interesting here because I was talking to a sister named Capita recently, and she was saying that yes, she was in the music industry, and she said she know rap. She said not only that, they have to report in like parole officers. If they get a big contract, they got to report in like reporting into a parole officer and tell them what functions they go into and whether these whereabouts are suitable for the music industry or the company. So anyway, they didn't come, but they got the tape. He said that the tape that I gave them was about you speaking about how the actors got to wear the dress or get shot in the behind. He said, and by Dave Chappelle being big friends with the whole rap scene, they gave the tape to Dave Chappelle. So when he said on Oprah about, I heard about they have to do the dress, he said, the brother Shabazz said, it was based on the lecture that I had done in New York in 2003. The thing about it here is, not only do you have to wear the dress, Ving Rhames had to wear the dress, Wesley Snipes had to wear the dress, Chris Tucker wore a little old flimsy feminine outfit on Fifth Element. Martin Lawrence has to wear the dress. Will Smith wore the dress. Just about, all of them wore the dresses. It's interesting here. One guy he was a faggot in Life, and then he did the Joanna Man or Vagina Man or whatever that thing was, that movie. Right. And then there was he wore the dress, and then not only that, one of the brothers, I can't think of the brother name, he was from the 70s, he was an actor, and he was on Steve Harvey in the last couple of years, and he used to be on Good Times. I can't think of the guy's name, but he wore a dress in 1987. So they always have this thing and this thing started with Flip Wilson, because we asked this question, how did Flip Wilson get a show? in the 1970s.
Playing Geraldine.
Geraldine in 1971 was the whole Geraldine thing. So we got a history of this. The other thing he is getting shot in the behind. So Denzel won the Academy Award because he got shot in the behind, and then after he got shot in the behind, they killed him. Not only did he get murdered in Malcolm X, which was a historical thing, so we needed to see that, but almost 10 years later, he gets killed execution style after getting shot in the behind. So see, we would think that this was, that's just one movie, but Martin Lawrence got shot in the behind in Bad Boys 2. And this is when the conspiracy come in, because the veteran actor Fred Williamson says that I never get killed in a movie and I always go home with the woman. Which is right. That's exactly what John Wayne does, Clint Eastwood does, and James Bond. You always go home with the woman because that cements your maleness. You see what I'm saying? Always go home with the woman, and I never die in a movie. So when he got up on the set for Starsky and Hutch, the new Starsky and Hutch in 2003, or 2002 when they was making it, because it came out in 2003, he said, they told him, yo, he's supposed to be the boss of Starsky and Hutch, you know, the boss that chooses out the reckless cops. He said they told him, yo, you got to get shot in the behind. He said, I ain't getting shot in no behind. Fred Williams, a veteran actor. He said, no, I'm not doing it. He said, I'm not doing it. He said, I put my children through school. I don't need it. So then they came back, just like they did with Dave Chappelle. They came back a few minutes later with another script.
Already ready.
Already ready. You see, this is a ritual of an attack. You see what I'm saying? That they do on us. And we got to understand the attack is coming from multiple levels. But now we know that it's a direct attack on melanin to dehumanize you and to put you at a subordinate position. You see what I'm saying?
But in other words, when it comes to the male, to effeminize him.
Right. You see what I'm saying? The other thing, I want to say this too now, there's nothing wrong with fat black women.
Oh, no question.
You see what I'm saying? She's the only person in the race can get accepted and get many men. You see what I'm saying? We say she's fat, but she got a cute face. But,
and some of them got pretty feet.
Pretty feet, and some of them are real sexy.
Right.
A lot of them are sexy. But that's not the point here now, but you got to understand. We're not talking about Hollywood versus fat.
Right.
What we're talking about here is a system and a ritual. Now let me give you an example.
And a stereotype.
Stereotype. Now, we know in the 1990s they had tons of black women in the movies. They Angela Bassett, Leela Rashawn. They had one of the girls that played Girl 6. Can't think of that girl's name. Girls that played with Spike Lee. Teresa Randall. Next thing you know, she's gone. They had a bunch of them. Now, that's good. And then you can put the heavy-set sisters in there. But it's one thing when Hollywood says, no more. The only people that's going to get the jobs is the heavy-set sisters. So all of a sudden, no acting Queen Latifah becomes the standard, and Monique pulling out movies. And the point I'm trying to make here is that I'm not trying to push them aside, but what I'm trying to say here is something when those are the only ones that can get roles, because we're talking about a ritual that goes all the way back to Hattie McDaniel, who was the first person to win, first black person to win the Academy Award. You got to understand how this thing goes here. And the reason why it is imperative that they don't show the black woman's sexuality in the standard of what that equals the white woman. And something based on the melanin now, psychologically, these images, there's a reason. Remember I just started out saying there's a standard of beauty that you got to get to. And even if you're fat, you got to be beautiful, because I've seen Queen Latifah turn into a fox on the last couple of movies. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make here is when it comes to the standard of beauty, which is in Hollywood, you see what I'm saying? Against the Julia Roberts, against the You see what I'm saying? All these Charlize Theron,
Jodie Foster,
all these particular people, as a standard of beauty, they're saying that the black woman cannot equal that. You see, and you got to understand this stuff because it's a warfare going on. You understand what I'm saying? And this warfare has devastated the black community for the simple fact that that's why your man don't choose you now, because he's psychologically getting some stuff from images from Hollywood, and you're not a part of that lineup. You understand what I'm saying? You're not a part of that lineup, and that's why they put the fat woman, and they got the little show Girlfriends. And these are beautiful black women, but it's on UPN, which is a station that really nobody really watched. It was one of those black stations. Basically, UPN tried to come out because UPN and Warner Brothers came out at the same time. Warner Brothers said that we're going to another level, and the first thing they do, they use the black people to fund when they first come out, and people and the public is not used to them. They put a lot of black shows on because they know that they can get the ratings and they can get the money or whatever until the actual station or the actual company is secure and fortified. Then what they do is they start weeding out the black shows and getting white shows. Now UPN is getting ready to join with Warner Brothers. They're coming together and merging together as one company. But the thing about it here is that Warner Brothers has already become lily white. And so you had the little Girlfriends thing where you see the cute black girls on there, but it was UPN, and that was not considered a mainstream. As far as it, although it was national, it wasn't on the same level as an ABC, NBC, CBS, and in cable, HBO or whatever. So my point here is we got to look at these things here on the image. You see what I'm saying? What is still going on here. Because this is also a psychological attack, and now is what Richard King and them saying, it affects the melanin. Why not? Now let's look at this, because now we doing different studies on East India based on the god Ganesha, or Ganesh. Ganesh is an elephant, and anybody know they say the elephant's memory is impeccable. You see what I'm saying? It never forgets. Well, in so many words, before we messed up on drugs, or we messed up on certain just bad self-esteem and this low level of living, we had memories that's impeccable. How do you think the comedians could get up there and be just as sharp and can be things on the tap? They could tap in and be funny and have a repertoire of things that they learned since they was children. They could tap in on a moment's notice. You see what I'm saying?
Well, and what back in the day? What about the number man? The number man.
That's a form of melanin. That's a part of what they call a cosmic computer. You see what I'm saying? That's the cosmic computer.
The Akashic records.
Right. So the Akashic records.
Right.
Akash means black.
Right.
Silakash, black substance.
Right.
The point I'm trying to make here is, if they understand that our psychological aspect of melanin is we get some stuff that's up in it and it affects us forever, based on images we see, then it's key that they still keep these images going on. And so the point I'm trying to make here is we got to stop. Hollywood going to be Hollywood, and black people going to sell out because they want the money. But you can either teach your children or you can choose not to watch certain things. You see what I'm saying? To not be affected. Sometimes I mean like black stars. I rarely watch black stars because I know 90% of the material that's going to be on black stars, you see what I'm saying, is going to make me mad. It's going to upset me, and I'll be like, look, I ain't got time for that. I live in a nightmare every day just looking outside of my window in the black community. Why I want to come and see some bullshit on TV like this?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And let me give you an example of some other things based on the stereotypes. We went to go see a movie, Silent Hill. White folks are into all kinds of things in the movies. They're dealing with death. They're dealing with the underworld. They're dealing with the afterlife. They're dealing with all kinds of sci-fi. They're dealing with all kinds of alternative living on a whole nother level. They got all these types of movies. You see what I'm saying? They becoming the hero. I saw a movie. It was a movie based on whether they was going to give money to Africa and raise Africa up. And raise Africa up. And they're doing all this kind of stuff, and I went to see this Silent Hill movie, which was a good movie, good horror movie, because there's a lot of stuff in there. And during the previews, they got all these different advanced horror movies coming up, and the advanced sci-fi, and advanced this, and in the middle of that, they show a preview of a black movie, where they're playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how many? Come on now. If this is not by design, you got millions of dollars going to make these movies, the ones that, and especially the ones that actually get to go to the actual theater, because there's thousands that come out that go straight to video. And you mean to tell me this is coming to the theater and this thing here is a basketball movie? Well, it's street ball. I mean, come on, man. My point here is, how stereotypical can you get? How, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like someone is deliberately keeping the people at a certain level
of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. That's the social engineering that we're talking about here.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there. And the other thing here is, because we're talking about the DNA. The other thing here is...
Yeah, I tell you, man, you know, it's funny, man, that you mentioned the DNA, man, because Time did a report called The Solved Mystery of DNA. Mm-hmm. You know, hey, matter of fact, hold this up for let them see this, man. Show them where they're going with this, because we want people to see what they are saying in this picture here.
It's interesting here because the whole DNA thing here...
I want you to take a look at this, because this is serious. Now, that is a sister.
A black woman and a white man.
Okay. Okay.
They started with this. They did a movie called Nova.
Okay.
Supernova.
Okay.
With Angela Bassett. And in the movie, the end result was, I can't think of the other guy's name that was in this thing, James Spader. And the end result is that they two merged together, and he had a blue eye, he had a black eye, a brown eye, and she had a blue eye. As to say that they energies merged together, it's about the black man, the white man, and the black woman. Now, it's interesting here because they had a movie to come out here in February called Something New.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Called Something New. Can't think of that black actress name. But anyway, in the movie, they got all these black people in the movie, Blair Underwood and all these particular people, and they all surrounding this black girl who's coming together. She's the new hot chick that did in a couple of movies. Can't think of her name right now. But anyway, she's coming together, and the whole thing is something new, as if to say that she hooks up with this white boy, as if to say that you need to try something new. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You need to try something new. The point I'm trying to make here is I'm not really that much interested in going out here trying to encourage people not to marry interracial, not because of the simple fact that I'm some rainbow coalition. I just know that reality, black people gonna do what they gonna do.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not wasting energy on it. But it is another thing when the government is trying to do something on another level by encouraging the black woman to go out, because they know she's already distraught and all messed up because she can't find a certain man or whatever type thing is.
Right.
So they can play on that vulnerability to push her in the arms of the white man, or either do the cosign saying, okay, white boys, now it's time for you can go and get you this black woman. I ain't gonna be no top-notch white man, but it's gonna be these nerd people.
Right.
But the problem is that they got money.
Exactly.
They be wimps, and no white woman will want them.
Right.
But they got money.
But they got money. Now, we noticed something on that magazine. Look what it says in the corner. Look, turn around and look at it. It says Countdown to War.
Countdown to War.
Now, the war is on the black DNA. Now, explain what they mean when they say war on the black DNA.
Well, the whole thing here is this particular thing here is...
Using the white man.
We're talking about, this is 2003. February 2003. Now, this was right before the Iraqi war.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's interesting here because not only at this particular time here, about a few weeks after this came out, I think it was Newsweek put out a magazine that had Beyonce, Star Jones was the two stars, and they had two other people in the business industry.
Mm-hmm.
These black women, and they're saying how these black women are succeeding far beyond the black man by leaps and bounds, and you know what I'm saying, as far as in business, as far as in economics and stuff, they're leaving the black man behind. Now, it's not by mistake that they put out that Newsweek a couple of weeks after putting out this.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not by mistake that they did this, you see, and how during the same time, Ebony magazine put out this thing about how these Jews had opened up a national registrar in Chicago to get black women to come in. This Jewish guy that owns this club, and how they come in and they meet these white guys and date them and marry them or whatever. And they said that they only wanted a couple of hundred to come with the club and sign up with the registrar. And they said that when it came down, it was 40,000.
They had to cut it off.
Yeah, to sign up, and they had to cut it off.
It was so many black women applying to get with these white boys, that the white boys, all right, we reached our quota.
And this became the template or the catalyst for other clubs and other groups, social clubs around America now, and in Europe, that is now, the new end thing is to get yourself a black woman. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is we're still talking about this DNA. You see, now I'm not necessarily concerned about the outer masses, because I know that they're going to do what they're going to do. They're controlled by the government. They are a creation of the government. But what I'm trying to say here is this is to make some sense of the madness of the people that's still into the conscious movement.
Let me ask you a question then. Now there are some people, they may not understand what you say creation of the government. Qualify what you mean creation of the government through mind control. Explain that. So some people may not understand when you say people act the way they act as a creation of the government. So qualify that for me.
What I mean by that is basically just as we was bred
in slavery,
to be a certain characteristic, first as farm machinery, and later on as to be some type of entity in America, a servant. You see, just as we was bred, the same people that bred us have technologically kept a system going of breeding that can program us to this day. So we are these creatures. You see what I'm saying? We are these creatures of the American. Let me give an example of what's talking about and see. And I'm not going to necessarily say that it's specifically for black people, because in order to trap black people, they got to have a certain percentile of white folks that get trapped in certain things. So let me give you an example. And as a result, they can get us. Because we, let me give you an example. There's a sister, named Saudi, a Muslim sister raised from Los Angeles, raised Muslim. I knew her in the 1990s because she used to be good friends with my ex-girlfriend Ginger. And she was raised Muslim. Her father, they raised up in the Nation of Islam. Later on, a lot of those after, Elijah Muhammad died, became Orthodox Muslims or whatever. Anyway, the father got sick, died of cancer, or died of cancer in the early 1990s. So before he died, he started seeing these visions, which a lot of people, when they get sick, they start seeing visions of the future. So she said that he called him to the bed and he started talking about the visions that he started seeing, and he said he was disturbed about all these people he saw, and black people that he saw, and American people, period, he saw driving around in these huge SUVs, sports utility vehicles. You see what I'm saying? Escalades, Tahoe Expedition, Navigator. And he said, man, what is going on? He said, and stuff. So when she said this, I'm like, well, what is the prophecy? Okay, he saw in the future, and he saw us driving SUVs, but why was he upset about it? Now, the scene shifted because it didn't really come to fruition on what he would actually be upset about until now. Now, the gas is going to a certain level, is going sky high, you see what I'm saying? And now all these people are trapped with all these big gas guzzlers. You see what I'm saying? So what he was actually upset about back in the early 1990s is he saw the gas thing that was going to happen, and he knew that these people has become dependent on all these big gas guzzlers. So the point I'm trying to make here is, because I'm not off the subject, they can create a certain situation for you down the line by saying, hey, this is what you need to be driving. This is what you need to be wearing. This is what you need to be doing. You see what I'm saying? Well, it's the same thing with this thing. If they're trying to somehow merge with the DNA, and with this black woman, they figure like this. Now, okay, let me give you an example.
She's the key.
She's the key. Let me give you an example on two aspects of this. In Richard Noon's book, Ice the Ultimate Disaster, he's a big-time master mason out of Georgia. Wrote the book in 1978. And he gave the estimation of certain things that were supposed to happen. As a matter of fact, when he wrote the book in 1978, Ice the Ultimate Disaster, May 5/5/2000, the book is somehow obsolete now, but because May 5th already done came. But, 2000, but the book, but it's not obsolete because he gave the actual blueprint and the projection and the forecast for what the Masonic community was going to do in the future, the white Masonic community. He gave the actual forecast. He gave the actual projection of what they was doing. He said the first thing they was going to do is they were going to want to retake Africa. Now, the same time that he was giving this forecast in 1978 about them retaking Africa, the second installment of the Omen, remember Damien Omen, and the second one when he was a little boy. But by this time, I think he was a teenager. Because the third one, when he became president, in one of the classrooms, they're talking about retaking Africa during the same time, on that movie, the same time he was writing the book, Ice the Ultimate Disaster. The point I'm trying to make is this. I forgot the point, but anyway, no.
Let's get it complete.
No. But anyway, they have this projection. Now, one of the things is this. They said, this was the point. They said, well, why would they retake Africa? Well, they said, in so many words, they said, well, if anything is going to go down in the future that we're not sure about, they said, we'll be most safer on the place that has the origin of the world than Europe. So they said Africa would be, the motherland would be our safe haven. That's why we have to go there before the 2000s. You understand what I'm saying? They said that would be, for some reason they think that they would be safe if they went back to Africa. Well, the same thing is happening with the black DNA. They think that basically if they can somehow merge with the black woman, this will be the answer, you see what I'm saying, to all their future prayers and for all their troubles and all their worries. You understand where I'm coming from here? So the key here is motherland, mother woman, black woman. You see what I'm saying? So if there's a return to Eden, they literally want to return to Eden. You understand what I'm saying? So it's got a lot to do with that, and it's got a lot to do with the DNA. Nothing is not, and remember now, this is 2003. When I remember now, Richard Noon wrote his book in 1978. In 1988, the same Newsweek magazine and Time, Newsweek had the same Jerry Curl version of Adam and Eve, black people only. Everything is everything. You see what I'm saying? Everything is everything. Let me give you an example here. Here's a book, because I want you to get some of your things.
Hey, but let me get it close up, because people need to see these books.
Okay.
You know, okay.
This is a book, they sell it at Borders bookstores.
What's called Armageddon?
It's called Armageddon.
Now.
Armageddon Now. It says the end of the world A to Z.
Hold it up. Let me see it, please. Yeah. Y'all got to get this book because... By
Jim Willis. Jim Willis and Barbara Willis.
Jim and Barbara Willis.
Now, it's interesting here because not only do they... What he did was, the guy teaches comparative religion in some Ivy League school. And although he's a preacher or whatever, he teaches comparative religion, which is key now. He's not just stuck in some sectarian aspect. And he gives you the Hindu version of the end, the Buddhist version of the end, several Christian, the Egyptian. He even uses Albert Churchward, Alvin Boyd Kuhn, and Gerald Massey, which they don't use. He even put Gerald Massey in here, but this is one of the keys of what I got the book. I picked it up. But this is why I really got the book, because they're real serious about some things. And it's interesting here because I bought the book when I was good. They even got the movies that came out in the 1990s, like Independence Day and the different ones. But this is why I picked the book up. And when I saw this, I said, I got to get the book. Because I had the book, and I took it off the shelf about a couple of weeks before. And then I picked it up again. And when I saw this particular picture of Marcus Garvey in the book, I said, oh man. Because in so many words, what they're saying is, you know, Marcus Garvey on his deathbed said, look for me in the whirlwind. Mm-hmm. Then we get Katrina. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that this year, whatever Katrina was, they say it's going to be 3 times worse.
And also, what they just dropped in the Baltimore Sun, that they expect one to hit Baltimore. By June.
And you know, they've been talking about, you know now, with HAARP and all that, they've been talking about that thing hitting the East Coast and around Baltimore since October, right after Katrina. Mm-hmm. So you got to look at some things on why they do certain things.
And also on top of that, Bob, and we spoke about this one time before, now you think about it, on the attack. Mm-hmm. Now, you know in Baltimore, because we were the one that broke the exclusive on it about the MK Ultra and the lights.
Yeah.
In Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
And if you go to Baltimore and look at the condition of the people on the street, it is catastrophic. I mean, it is unbelievable.
And you just believe, best believe.
And speaking of the word believe, they got the word believe everywhere you go.
In Baltimore?
And everywhere you go, on every street, every building.
You got believe.
You got the word believe. Now, what we come to find out is that using the MK Ultra and the lights, that works on your subconscious mind, but your conscious mind see the word believe. Yeah. And that's how they got the folks.
You better go get the movie. It's on cable now again. They Live.
They Live.
You got to go get the movie They Live. 1988. What's that? Roddy Piper. Mm-hmm. And Keith David. Mm-hmm. You see, get that movie, because that's exactly what's going on. And it's interesting. There's another thing interesting about Baltimore. They have the Walters Art Museum there, or Walters Art Gallery. And I'm looking at most of the books, and I'm coming up, a lot of my books in my library, I'm looking, and I see profound pictures and stuff, and at the bottom, these pictures are at the Walters Art Museum or the Walters Art Gallery in Baltimore. As a matter of fact, they have one of the pictures of Lakshmi that I've been selling. Mm-hmm. And with the Lakshmi, with the full breast and all that, do you know they got a statue at the Walters Art Museum in Baltimore of Lakshmi that's very ancient?
Really?
Yes. And so the point I'm trying to make here is there's a lot of stuff that's going on, but this is prophecies on Ethiopia, prophecies on in here on the prophecies that Marcus Garvey talked about, and not only that, there's a new station called a documentary channel now. You probably have to you have to ask Comcast, or if you got the Red TV, to try to get this. I know it's on Dish Satellite. Mm-hmm. Dish Network is called a documentary channel. And they're showing documentaries that's been banned by the government for years. Mm. And so they had one that they put out recently on Bob Marley. But they said this documentary is based on prophecies and philosophies of the Rastafarian movement and Bob Marley's philosophies that was collected by the British government in the 1970s and the early 80s, and they're just putting these things out. The BBC is just putting these things out in the 2000s. Mm. And in so many words, Bob Marley was talking, the person that Marcus Garvey said, look for a person to be crowned in Africa or whatever, and they mistook it for Haile Selassie. Mm-hmm. The real Messiah or Messianic person, because there's multiple Messiahs based on the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's a book called The Messiahs of the Dead Sea Scrolls, saying there's more than one Messiah. Right. That the real Messiah that whole thing was talking about, that everybody put on Haile Selassie, was actually Bob Marley. His music had a greater impact on the world. People got to know of the Rastafarian movement because of what transpired based on the music. And I talked to Africans in West Africa, and they said that a lot of the countries that got decolonized in the early 1980s and throughout the 80s, they said that we got decolonized because of Bob Marley. They said when that music hit, number one, the music had rhythms that was closer to Africa. And they said when that music hit, they said we had revolution on our brains. I talked to Africans that said this. And
also he promoted that, one love.
Yeah.
One love.
You see, there's a lot of things. So I just want to just put this. So this is a book, to get in stuff because it's all in line with what we're talking about here.
Well, but also too, man, going back to Baltimore. Now, also in the Baltimore Sun, it also said it was I think the new guy from FEMA, David Paulson, whatever his name is. He made a statement in the pavement and said that they are not going to wait for Katrina to hit or any type of natural disaster to hit Baltimore. They said they get ready to move in Baltimore now. And they put a disclaimer in the paper that people don't have to really fear because the local authorities are going to be in control. Now, Bobby, come on. Now, when FEMA take over, the local authorities are shut down. So, in so many words, what I'm saying, that people in the Baltimore area, which includes myself, living in the Maryland area, people need to be watchful. You need to be very, very watchful on your surroundings and what's going on. And also, for those who don't know, Baltimore is also the port of the Moors. So I'm putting a shout out to all the Moorish brothers and sisters. Y'all need to be really awake right about now.
Yeah, we'll get into this Islam thing in a minute.
Right.
But it's interesting about that because talking about this creature and how they can basically design you to do something down the road. And although you thinking it's the environment around you, it can be an outside entity that's agitating and is setting the course for the entire environment. Let me give you an example of what's going on now. We know of MK Ultra, we know of implants, and we know of several things. Now, several things is going on. As far as psychological warfare. In Philadelphia, what's the date? April 29th, 2006. Since January 1 of 2006, they have had 114 murders. Now that was Thursday when I got the last thing. It was 114 murders. They're having 3 a day, and that's a good day. A bad day. No, that's a good day. That's a day when they didn't kill a lot of people. They're getting at least 3 people dying. So it might be up to 120 now since Thursday. But anyway, they got black men dying. They got more black men dying in Philadelphia than they got people in the Iraqi war or soldiers that they reporting on in the Iraqi war, and that's a war zone.
A day.
A day. They're already up to 114. Let's say this is Saturday. They're probably up to 118.
A day.
118 since January.
Okay.
They're up to about 3 to 4 a day.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? We just 4 months into the new year. You see, going on 5. But my point here is, and this is it. Now, this is interesting. I said, when he told me this, he said, man, they killing each other. The brother Barsisi, one of my comrades, up in Philadelphia. When he told me that, I said, wait a minute, this is something that's being induced. Nothing happens in a vacuum. You see what I'm saying? Like that, something's not natural with these numbers and the way these things occur. So, now I'll give you one of the reasons how they can do it in a minute. But he said that now here is the New World Order coming. This is the response. Because I said something's being induced. This is being programmed. And then the response came the other week. That the state of New Jersey, because Newark is the capital, and Newark is only like, 30, 45 minutes from Philadelphia. It's the capital of New Jersey. The state of New Jersey said that they got about a month, Philadelphia has about a month
get it under control.
To get it under control and stop the killing, or otherwise the people from Philadelphia, mainly black people, we talking about profiling here, gonna have to present papers to go into New Jersey. So we talking some real New World Order stuff now. They're setting up checkpoints. And remember, now, this is only a catalyst for the whole country.
A test case.
It's a test case. You see what I'm saying? It's a test case. You see, the whole concept of any type of government thing here is based on, they've already declared it terrorists.
Right.
And so one of the whole things of any part of the government is, how they make these laws is based on you got to be safe. Well, my point here is that there's a war going on in Iraq, and yet they got more black men dying in Philadelphia every day. That is equivalent to all of this so-called Patriot Act, Homeland Security, whatever, to take your rights and to cut down on terrorism. You see what I'm saying? So it's interesting here that this is going on. Now, let me give you an example of how you say, well, how does the government, how do the policy makers in D.C. or in Britain declare war on black people, and how can they induce a black person killing themselves in the streets in Philly? Well, let me tell you how it goes. One aspect, there's several. So like I say, MK Ultra, we just saw that happen. That Brian Nichols guy came and shot up the place and everything.
And knew right where to go.
Knew right where to go. Go and get the movie Demolition Man. He knew Demolition Man. He got out. He was froze. They implanted him. He knew right where to go. And guess what? He was programmed to the point that he couldn't kill the white man. The man who programmed him, he couldn't even kill him. And in order to kill him, he had to throw the gun to a white man, and the white man killed the guy who programmed him. But isn't it interesting here, because on black crime, we're not programmed to kill white folks.
Right. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And they showed this in the movie Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes. He could kill everybody. He could run them up, but he could not kill the elite. You see what I'm saying? And the guy said, "Don't you have some people to kill? I unfroze your behind so you can kill people." So we know it can happen. Let me give you an example. I was had an affair with a sister from Kansas in 2002 and in 2002 and 2003. So I used to fly to Kansas and go to see this sister, and the sister had a daughter. She said she came home one day and her daughter got this nigga up in the doggone living room, and this guy done killed 7 guys. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. This guy has killed 7 guys. He's been in prison, and yet he's out sitting in your living room, back in the black community. The first thing I told her, I said, that's an assassin. That's an assassin for the United States government or the global elite.
Seven murders now.
He's 7 murders now. He done killed 7 black men, but yet he's out walking around, and they got somebody that got caught with a marijuana.
Or some crack, and they got life.
And they got life. I know a nigga that got stopped for a traffic ticket in Houston and got 6 years because he was selling some herb, and they couldn't catch him. You know, because he was good at what so they got him for that. So my point here is this guy done killed 7 black men. He's supposed to be locked up forever.
And a day.
And if he killed 7 white men, he would be a mass murderer.
And probably executed by now.
Yes. That would be under the equivalent of a mass murderer. And we haven't had any of them yet. Let me tell you what happened, so. It's interesting here. He's sitting up in her, and I said, sitting up in her living room. She said, what this nigga got this nigga up, and this nigga done killed 7 people. I said, that's an assassin. They let him out on purpose. Later on that summer, that was in May. Later on that summer, they found a house where they got 7 or 8 people in the house, all dead. Somebody done came and shot them all in the head. And the reports was that this guy was hanging around the house an hour before the murders happened. And then all of a sudden, he gets recalled on a trumped-up charge or whatever, and they bring him back into prison. So what they do is to make sure that you don't see what happened. So they recycle these prisoners. So he did what he was supposed to do. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll bring another one out to do the thing. Now, you say, well, wait a minute, what does the person, because a person went to prison, does it make him a mass murderer? No. This is what happened. Go look, get the movie Demolition Man. Mm-hmm. Look, I got friends. I got people that have reports that at night in prison, they'll be in the bed sleeping, and all of a sudden some people in some white coats will come and get them and take them somewhere, and all they remember is they wake up the next morning. You see what I'm saying? They wake up the next morning. So they basically operating on these prisoners. They'll get these prisoners, take them somewhere, implant them, do what they got to do. They got their profile all down. You see what I'm saying? And the next day, you know, they wake up in the cell the next day. They wake up in the cell the next day, and then they get out and they got a repeating aspect of crime, a rotating aspect of crime, and they're coming out of prison because they're making these, they implanting them, and they're doing all kinds of things to them.
So in other words, they're creating robots.
They're creating robots.
Now.
Drones.
Now, funny you said that, because a lot of guys that go to jail, black guys, because I've yet to hear a white man say that, but all the black guys go to jail now, they got to give up their DNA now.
They have to give up
as a part of their probationary